All right, so you want to learn about 2 LDK apartments in Japan? Huh. Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're doing a deep dive into these unique living spaces.
Yeah, they really are unique and a great way to experience like authentic Japanese living.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at an article from moveandstay.com.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they've been helping people find places to stay in Asia for over 25 years now.
Yeah, so they definitely know their stuff when it comes to like finding the right place.
Exactly. So whether you're, maybe thinking about moving to Japan
Hmm.
or even just curious about what it's like to live there,
Yeah.
we're going to break down everything you need to know about these fascinating 2 LDK apartments.
It's really interesting, because the 2 LDK layout is kind of a microcosm of Japanese design philosophy.
Oh, how so?
Well, it's all about practicality and using space efficiently.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's not just about the square footage.
Hmm.
It's how that space is used and adapted.
All right, so let's start with the basics here. What does 2 LDK actually stand for?
Okay, so it's a shorthand for the layout. You get two separate rooms,
Okay.
plus the LDK, which is a combined living room, dining area, and kitchen.
Okay, so that's where the 2 comes from.
Exactly. Two rooms plus the LDK. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Those two rooms, they don't have to be bedrooms.
Oh, so it's like more flexible than a typical 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, it is. One could be a home office or the other like a traditional tatami room.
Oh, cool.
Think of it as a blank canvas. You customize it based on how you want to live.
Right, okay. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Now, how does the 2 LDK stack up against other common apartment types in Japan?
Well, if you need less space, there's the 1 LDK. That's perfect for singles or couples. And then there's the 2DK, also with two rooms, but it has a separate kitchen and dining space,
Okay.
but no like distinct living area.
So it's kind of like all one big room almost.
Yeah, pretty much. And then if
Mm.
you need more space, there's always the 3 LDK. That's great for bigger families, but it can get pretty expensive. So the 2 LDK kind of like hits that sweet spot for a lot of people.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Now, tell me more about this combined LDK space. Like, paint me a picture.
Okay, so imagine this. Open concept. It's often like the heart of the apartment. It's where like life happens.
Mm-hmm.
Relaxing, dining, working from home even. Some are compact and cozy.
Okay.
Others are like surprisingly spacious, maybe even with a balcony, like overlooking the city.
Oh, that sounds pretty awesome.
Right. Picture yourself like sipping your morning coffee
Yeah.
with the city, like waking up around you.
Okay, yeah, I'm there. But we can't forget about those 2 flexible rooms, right? What's the typical setup there?
Again, flexibility is key. You could have one Western-style room
Okay.
with wooden floors, the other a traditional Japanese room with tatami mats.
Oh, okay.
And the use of sliding doors is so cool. Like you can adjust the space, for
Mhm.
privacy or create a more open flow.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'm already imagining like all the possibilities. Transforming one room into a meditation space, the other a home studio.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of transformations,
Yeah.
there are actually like different variations of the 2 LDK layout itself.
Oh, okay. This is getting interesting. What kind of variations are we talking about?
Okay, so there's the half living room layout,
Yeah.
where the living area is smaller because it prioritizes the bedroom space. Then there's the full living room layout,
Mm.
which is perfect for families who need that larger communal space. But the one that I always like find really interesting is
Yeah.
the maisonette style.
Maisonette style. That sounds fancy. Tell me more.
Okay, so imagine a two-story apartment connected by an internal staircase.
Whoa, wait. 2 stories.
Yeah, like a mini house. You might have the LDK downstairs
Okay.
and the bedrooms tucked away upstairs.
A mini house.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Who usually goes for that layout?
Oh, it's great for couples, small families, remote workers who need that dedicated office space. Even singles who just like having that extra room.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Huh.
It really is a super adaptable layout.
Yeah.
But let's be practical for a second, right?
Yeah.
Location and cost, those are like always major factors when choosing an apartment.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And location in Japan, especially in a city like Tokyo, can really impact the price.
Okay, so how much are we talking here?
Well, you could be looking at over like 200,000 per month for a 2 LDK in a prime area like Shinjuku.
Okay.
While a comparable apartment in a city like Fukuoka, that might be closer to 100,000.
Okay, so there's a big difference depending on where you are.
Yeah. And being close to transportation, schools, amenities, that will also drive up the price.
Yeah, that's the same everywhere, I think. So it's all about finding that balance between like your ideal location and how much you're willing to spend. What else influences the cost of a 2 LDK?
Well, a size is a given, obviously. Most 2 LDKs are between like 40 and 80 square meters.
Okay.
But then there are the amenities, built-in AC, modern bathrooms, spacious balconies. Those can all add up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah.
What about like those fancy extras? Rooftop terrace.
Oh, yeah. If you're dreaming of like a rooftop terrace or concierge service, be prepared to pay a premium.
You get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
Now, what about the age and condition of the building itself? Does that affect the price?
Oh, absolutely. Older buildings tend to be more affordable,
Okay.
while those sleek, modern high-rises, those are going to cost more.
Makes sense.
Sometimes, like, a recently renovated apartment in an older building can be just as expensive as a brand new one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's all about, weighing your priorities.
Right. Okay, so let's say I'm ready to start my 2 LDK hunt. Where do I even begin? It seems like there's a lot to think about.
The key is to start with your needs.
Good.
Solo living, family life, remote work setup. Once you have that clear, those Japanese apartment listings will make a lot more sense.
Yeah, but those listings are like full of jargon. I'm already lost with LDK.
Don't worry, we'll break it down. You'll see terms like tatami room,
Okay.
which is a traditional Japanese room with the tatami mats. Western room, which usually has wooden or carpeted floors. And then, of course, balcony means there's an outdoor space.
Okay, so like paying attention to those little details is super important to get a real picture of what the apartment is like.
Yeah.
Are there any other tips for navigating these listings?
Yeah. Always check the square meter measurements to see the overall size.
Okay.
And look for info about separate bathrooms, balconies, appliances, anything that's like important to you. And don't be afraid to like ask your agent if something isn't clear.
Right, yeah. There's no such thing as a stupid question, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I found a few listings online that look promising. What's the next step?
The next step is crucial. In-person visits. Don't just rely on photos and descriptions.
Oh, so like I can't just be swayed by those beautiful pictures online.
Nope. Photos can be super deceiving. You need to see the space for yourself. Like, check the natural light, test the water pressure. Look for any wear and tear the photos might be hiding. Does the layout actually work for you? Does it feel right?
Right, yeah. It's got to feel right.
Yeah. That's what makes finding a 2 LDK in Japan such an interesting process. It's not just about ticking boxes. It's about finding that space that really feels like home,
Yeah, it's got to feel like home.
Exactly.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I'm way more confident about this whole 2 LDK thing now.
Good. I'm glad.
It's so much more than just like an apartment type,
It really is. And we've only just scratched the surface. In the next part of our deep dive,
Oh, yeah.
we'll get into the nitty-gritty of like actually finding and securing your perfect 2 LDK.
Okay, awesome. Looking forward to it.
Me too. Welcome back. Are you ready to like really dive into the world of 2 LDKs?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because finding and securing that dream apartment in Japan, it can be a bit of an adventure.
Yeah,
Especially if you're new to the country.
Totally. Before the break, we were talking about seeing an apartment in person.
Right.
But even before you get to that point, how do you even like navigate the whole Japanese rental process? It seems so different.
Yeah, it can definitely seem like a whole other world,
Yeah.
Lots of steps, paperwork, and just like cultural things that might surprise you.
Okay, that sounds a little intimidating. Where do you even begin?
First step is to get really clear on your budget
Mm-hmm.
and your must-have features. Like, be honest with yourself about what you can afford and what you're willing to, compromise on.
Okay.
Location is huge.
Hmm.
Are you set on a specific neighborhood, or would you consider a smaller place for a better location?
Right. So it's kind of like you're setting the foundation for your search. You need to know your limits before you start looking.
Exactly. So once you've figured that out, where do you actually go to find these 2 LDK listings?
Yeah, where do you look?
Well, there are a few ways to go about it.
Mhm.
Online real estate portals are a good place to start. Many of them have English versions, which is helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
You can also check local newspapers and magazines,
Okay.
although those might need some translation. And don't underestimate the power of like word of mouth.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Talk to friends, colleagues, anyone who's gone through the process. They often have the best insights you know.
Yeah, it's like tapping into that local knowledge.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say you found a promising listing online. What happens next?
This is where it gets interesting. In Japan, it's common to work with a real estate agent.
Oh, okay.
They help you navigate all the like complexities of renting, translate documents, even negotiate with landlords.
So having a good agent is really important then.
Yeah.
What should I look for in an agent in Japan?
Well, you want someone who's licensed, experienced, and ideally fluent in English.
Yeah, of course.
It's also helpful if they specialize in working with foreigners.
Oh, right, because they would understand, like, the specific challenges we might face.
Exactly. They'll be more attuned to your needs. Don't hesitate to ask for referrals or check online reviews.
Right.
You know?
Mhm.
Find an agent with a good reputation.
It's like finding a trusted guide in a foreign land, right?
Exactly. Someone who understands the terrain.
Okay, so now let's talk about the apartment viewing itself. What should I expect when I go to see a potential 2LDK?
Well, apartment viewings in Japan are usually pretty structured. You'll meet the agent at the property. They'll take you through the apartment, explain the features, answer questions.
Okay.
It's good to have, like, a list of questions prepared beforehand,
Oh, yeah, like a checklist.
especially if you're not familiar with Japanese apartment standards.
Right. So what kind of questions should be on that checklist?
Definitely ask about the age of the building,
Okay.
the condition of the appliances, if there's parking, storage, anything that's important to you. Also, take the time to, like, walk around the neighborhood, get a feel for the area.
Yeah, see if it actually, like, fits your lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you found the perfect 2LDK.
Yeah.
The one checks all the boxes. What happens next?
Get ready for some paperwork. Renting in Japan involves a lot of documents.
Oh, no.
You'll need proof of income, identification, and this might be new for you, a guarantor.
A guarantor. What's that?
A guarantor is a Japanese resident who agrees to be financially responsible for you
Okay.
if you, for some reason, can't pay your rent.
Oh,
It's pretty common in Japan, but it can be tricky for foreigners who are new to the country.
yeah, because I probably don't know anyone who can be my guarantor.
Don't worry, there are companies that offer guarantor services for a fee.
Oh, okay.
Your real estate agent can usually help you find one.
This is good to know. So you've gathered all the documents, you've found a guarantor. Are you good to go now?
Almost. There's one more unique thing about renting in Japan. Reikin, also known as key money,
Key money. What's that?
it's a non-refundable payment to the landlord,
Okay.
usually equal to 1 or 2 months' rent. It's basically like a thank you gift for renting the apartment. It's a cultural custom, very deeply rooted in Japanese society.
So it's not just the deposit and first month's rent. You also have this key money.
Yeah, it adds up.
Wow.
But remember, it's a one-time payment.
Okay.
And in exchange, you can usually expect to live in the apartment for a while without big rent increases.
So it's like a long-term investment then.
Exactly.
Okay. So you've jumped through all the hoops, paid the key money, signed the lease. What else should you know before actually moving into your 2LDK?
There are some practical things to think about. First, utilities.
All right.
You'll need to set up accounts for electricity, gas, water, internet. Your agent can usually help you with that.
Okay.
And then there's furniture. Japanese apartments usually come unfurnished,
Oh, good.
so you'll need to factor that cost into your budget.
So it's like a blank canvas, which is exciting,
It was exciting.
but also maybe a little overwhelming.
A little bit. It's all part of the adventure.
Any other tips for a smooth move-in?
Yeah, definitely familiarize yourself with the building rules. There are often specific guidelines about noise levels, garbage disposal, even using balconies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Respecting these rules will help you build a good relationship with your neighbors and the building management.
Right. It's all about being a good tenant. This has been so eye-opening, like all these little intricacies of finding a 2LDK in Japan. It's a whole process.
It is, but it's manageable.
Yeah.
With careful planning and the right guidance, finding your dream 2LDK can be such a rewarding experience.
Definitely.
And once you're settled in, you can really start enjoying all the benefits of living in this unique type of apartment.
Speaking of enjoying the experience, let's shift gears a bit and talk about what it's actually like to live in the 2LDK, day-to-day life.
Yeah.
What can someone expect once they've moved into their new Japanese home?
Oh, living in a 2LDK. It's a fascinating blend of, like, modern convenience and a traditional charm.
Ooh, I like that.
It's a chance to really immerse yourself in Japanese culture while still having a comfortable and functional space.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's start with the basics. We talked about the combined LDK layout.
Right.
Does it ever feel cramped or crowded, having everything in one space?
Not really. That's the beauty of the LDK. It's adaptable.
Right.
The open concept allows for that natural flow between the living, dining, and kitchen areas,
Yeah.
but you can use those sliding doors to create separation if you need it.
Oh, that's smart.
It's all about customizing the space to your lifestyle.
So it's about finding that balance between like togetherness and personal space.
Exactly.
What about storage? Is that a challenge in a 2 LDK?
Storage can be a bit more limited in Japanese apartments compared to other countries.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But 2 LDKs usually have more options than smaller layouts. You'll have built-in closets in the bedrooms,
Mm-hmm.
maybe additional storage in the entryway or hallway.
Okay.
It's all about being organized and utilizing the space well.
It's like a fun puzzle figuring out where to put everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's talk about the neighborhood. What's it like living in a typical Japanese residential area?
Japanese residential areas are known for being safe, clean, and community-oriented.
Okay.
You'll often find small shops, restaurants, parks, all within walking distance.
That's awesome.
It's a great way to experience everyday life in Japan and connect with the locals.
Yeah, it sounds like a really nice, peaceful way of life.
It is.
What about transportation? Is it easy to get around without a car?
Oh, absolutely. Japan has an amazing public transportation system.
Okay, good.
Trains and buses are everywhere. And many 2 LDKs are located near train stations.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it so easy to get around. You might not even need a car.
That's a big plus. Now, what about the social aspect? Is it easy to meet people and make friends in Japan?
Making friends in Japan can take time.
Okay.
The culture is generally more reserved,
Mm.
but there are definitely ways to connect.
Like what?
Joining clubs, attending community events, even just chatting with your neighbors can help.
Right, so it's like anywhere else. It takes effort, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about some of the cultural aspects of living in a 2 LDK. Are there any customs or traditions that I should be aware of?
Well, Japanese culture really emphasizes respect, cleanliness, and harmony.
Oh,
Be mindful of noise levels, especially in apartments where walls are thin.
right.
Take your shoes off before entering your home.
Mm-hmm.
And be sure to separate your garbage for recycling.
Okay.
These little things really go a long way in showing respect for your neighbors and the community.
It's all about adapting to the local customs and being a good neighbor.
Exactly.
So paint me a picture. What might a typical day look like for someone living in a 2 LDK in Japan?
Okay, so imagine this. You wake up in your peaceful bedroom, sunlight streaming through the window.
Okay, I like it.
You start your day with a traditional Japanese breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Then you head off to work or school, maybe by train, maybe by bicycle.
Okay.
And after a busy day, you return to your cozy 2 LDK. Relax in the LDK, maybe make a delicious meal in your kitchen, or enjoy a quiet moment in your tatami room.
That sounds lovely. It's like a perfect blend of modern and traditional living.
Yeah.
A real immersion in Japanese culture.
Exactly. Living in a 2 LDK lets you experience the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I love that. It's like stepping into a whole new world full of new experiences and possibilities.
It really is. And speaking of new experiences, for those who are considering taking the plunge, it really is. And for those who are considering taking the plunge, the article we've been talking about from moveandstay.com, they're a great resource.
Yeah, definitely.
They've been helping people find places to stay in Asia for over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So their insights are really valuable.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Their experience really adds a lot to this whole discussion.
Right.
You know, as we've been talking, a question keeps coming to mind. If I was thinking about moving into a 2 LDK in Japan, what's the one piece of advice, the golden rule you'd give me?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the most important thing is to go into it with an open mind and a willingness to adapt. Japan has a really unique and rich culture,
Yeah.
and living in a 2 LDK really lets you immerse yourself in it.
So it's not just about finding the right apartment. It's about embracing a whole new way of life.
Exactly. Be open to trying new things, learning new customs, connecting with people from different backgrounds. Embrace the challenges and the rewards that come with stepping outside your comfort zone.
It's about more than just the square footage. It's about personal growth, you know?
Yeah. Well said. Finding the right 2 LDK, that's just the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's the stepping stone to an incredible journey.
Yeah.
Full of new experiences, new perspectives, and maybe even a new appreciation for minimalist living.
This deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I've learned so much about 2 LDKs in Japan. Not just the practical stuff, but the cultural nuances too.
Yeah.
And the potential for personal transformation. It's pretty cool.
It's been great exploring this with you. And for our listeners, if you're feeling inspired by the idea of 2LDK living. I highly recommend checking out moveandstay.com. They're a fantastic resource for anyone looking for a place to stay in Asia, whether it's for a short visit or a more permanent move.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed this journey into the world of 2LDKs.
Yes.
And discovered, the unique appeal of this adaptable and culturally rich living space.
Until next time, happy exploring.